Gravy is the most British thing on the plate. I feel it's also the most lied about. Most people assume that the stuff in the jug is something close to what your nan made. Meat juices, stock, a bit of thickening, real food. I spent 3 weeks investigating 8 of the UK's biggest gravy brands, reading the labels, checking the claims and comparing the costs. What I found was embarrassing. Not for me, for them. Here's what's actually in your gravy. 1. Bisto Original Granules. Let's start with the one that's basically synonymous with gravy in this country. Bisto has been on British tables since 1908. The brand awareness is extraordinary. Say gravy to most British people and Bisto is the first word that comes back. That nostalgia is worth an enormous amount of money to Premier Foods, and they know exactly how to spend it. A 170-gram tin of Bisto Original Granules costs around £1.89 at most supermarkets. Unit price looks reasonable until you understand what you're actually buying. The ingredient list: potato starch, salt, maltodextrin, yeast extract, vegetable oil, sugar, flavorings, color, caramel and ammonia caramel, onion powder, herb extract. Let me tell you what's not in there: meat. Not a trace of it. No beef, no chicken, no animal-derived stock of any kind. Bisto Original is entirely plant-based by default, which would be fine if it were marketed that way, but it isn't. It's marketed as gravy. The kind your parents made, the kind that belongs next to a Sunday roast. The advertising does enormous work to make you picture something it fundamentally isn't. The colour comes from caramel colouring, specifically ammoniated caramel, which is the same colouring used in certain soft drinks and has been a subject of ongoing food safety debate in Europe. It's legal. It's also doing all the visual work of making this product look like something that came from a roasting tin. Flavorings is doing the heaviest lifting on that ingredient list. That single word covers a proprietary blend of compounds Bisto has no obligation to disclose. What gives Bisto its distinctive savoury taste isn't meat. It's chemistry designed to approximate what meat tastes like. For £1.89, you're buying the memory of your nan's gravy, not anything close to the actual thing. 2. Bisto Best Beef Gravy Granules. Bisto Best is positioned as the premium tier, the step up, the one you buy when you actually care about Sunday lunch. It costs around £2.50 for 230 grams, and the packaging uses darker colours, more restrained typography, and the word best doing a lot of persuasive work. The ingredient list for Bisto Best Beef: potato starch, salt, maltodextrin, glucose syrup, beef fat, flavorings, yeast extract, caramel color, onion powder, sugar. There it is, beef fat, an actual animal-derived ingredient. So Bisto Best does contain beef, technically in the form of fat rather than stock or meat extract. Beef fat contributes flavor, but it's also the cheapest possible beef-derived ingredient. It's a byproduct of processing. You're not getting beef stock. You're getting what's left over when everything else has been extracted. The difference in taste between Bisto Original and Bisto Best is real but modest. The difference in marketing positioning is enormous. You're paying roughly 40% more per gram for a product that contains one additional low-cost byproduct and considerably more premium packaging. If Bisto Best is in your cupboard, you're paying a significant premium for the word best and a small quantity of beef fat. 3. OXO Gravy Granules. OXO built its brand on the cube. Tiny, concentrated, genuinely flavorful. A good OXO cube dissolved in boiling water produces something with actual depth. That reputation has been carefully extended to their granule range, and the extension doesn't quite hold up. OXO beef gravy granules cost around £1.75 for 186 grams. Ingredients: corn starch, salt, sugar, yeast extract, caramel color, beef fat, flavorings, onion powder, vegetable oil. Same structural problems as Bisto. No beef stock, no meat extract in any meaningful quantity. Beef fat, again, as the sole animal-derived ingredient. Caramel colouring doing the visual work. What's interesting about OXO is the gap between their cube product and their granule product. The original OXO cube contains salt, yeast extract, and beef extract, which is actual concentrated meat. The granule range replaces beef extract with beef fat and adds starches and maltodextrin to create a pourable, dissolvable product. The cube is better. It's also cheaper per serving. If you're buying OXO, buy the cubes. The granules are a more processed, more expensive version of an inferior product wearing the same brand name. 4. Waitrose Beef Gravy Granules. Waitrose own brand products carry a premium positioning baked into the retailer itself. Shopping at Waitrose signals something. The product design is clean, the language is reassuring, and the implicit promise is that the quality is higher because everything at Waitrose is higher quality. Waitrose beef gravy granules cost around £1.80 for 170 grams, comparable to Bisto on price. Let's check whether the quality justifies the association. Ingredients: cornstarch, salt, maltodextrin, yeast extract, sugar, beef fat, flavorings, color, onion powder. It is structurally an identical product to Bisto and Oxo. Starch base, salt, yeast extract, beef fat, caramel color, undisclosed flavorings. There is no meaningful quality difference between this product and a supermarket's own basic range. You are paying for the Waitrose logo and the particular shade of green on their packaging. In blind taste tests conducted by consumer groups, Waitrose own brand gravy granules consistently fail to outperform mid-range competitors. The premium here is entirely retail environment. The granules don't know they're in Waitrose. 5. Aldi Stone Mill Beef Gravy Granules. Aldi's gravy granules sit at around 79p for 170 grams. Let's be precise about that price difference. You are paying less than half the cost of Bisto for this product. That should either excite you or alarm you, depending on what's inside. Ingredients: cornstarch, salt, yeast extract, maltodextrin, beef fat, sugar, flavorings, color, onion powder. It's the same product. Structurally, ingredient by ingredient, this is the same formulation as Bisto Original, Oxo granules and Waitrose own brand. Same starch base, same salt level, same beef fat, same caramel color, same undisclosed flavorings. Any perceived taste difference between Aldi's gravy granules and Bisto is overwhelmingly attributable to expectation and brand association, rather than actual compositional difference. The honest conclusion here is that Aldi Stone Mill at 79p is the rational choice if you're buying granule gravy. You're not getting a worse product for less money, you're getting the same product for less money, and declining to fund Premier Foods' marketing department. The other honest conclusion is that none of these granule products, regardless of price, deserve to be called gravy in any traditional sense of the word. But if granule gravy is what you want, buy the cheapest one. 6. Knorr Rich Beef Gravy Pot. Knorr's gravy pots are a step up in the market. They come in small individual portions designed to produce a single jug of gravy per pot, and they're priced accordingly at around £2 for 2 pots, roughly £1 per serving. That is a significant price jump from granules. The marketing is notably more sophisticated. Words like rich, aromatic, and chef-inspired appear prominently. The pot format implies freshness and quality in a way that a granule tub doesn't. Ingredients: water, modified cornstarch, yeast extract, salt, beef fat, sugar, beef extract, flavorings, caramel color, onion extract, garlic extract. Here's where things get slightly more interesting. Beef extract appears on this list, which is actual concentrated meat product rather than fat alone. The water base also means this is closer to a liquid stock than a dry granule product, which is a genuine formulation difference. However, modified cornstarch appears first after water, which means it's the dominant solid ingredient. This is a gravy where thickener comes before any meat-derived ingredient in the composition. The beef extract is present, but it's positioned behind the starch and behind the yeast extract, which is doing most of the savoury flavour work. At £1 per serving versus roughly 20p per serving for granules, you are paying 5 times more for a product that contains beef extract rather than just beef fat. A slightly more sophisticated flavour profile and a portion format designed to feel premium. Whether that's worth it depends entirely on how much you value the packaging ritual. 7. Tesco Finest Beef Gravy. Tesco Finest is Tesco's premium own-label tier, the range that's supposed to sit alongside the proper brands and justify a slightly higher price through quality rather than just name recognition. In the gravy aisle, the Finest range offers a chilled, ready-to-heat beef gravy at around £2.50 for 350 millilitres. Chilled, ready-made. This is a different category from granules and pots. This product is positioned as close to homemade as a supermarket can get. Ingredients: beef stock, water, beef dripping, corn flour, yeast extract, port wine, sugar, salt, onion powder, black pepper, thyme. This is materially different from everything we've looked at so far. beef stock is the primary liquid ingredient. Beef dripping is a proper cooking fat rather than a refined byproduct. Port wine appears, which is an actual flavor ingredient rather than a flavoring. Thyme is a herb, not a herb extract. The spices are named, not hidden behind the word flavorings. This reads like a recipe rather than a laboratory formulation. At £2.50 for a product that serves 3 to 4 people, the cost per serving sits at around 65 to 85 pence, which is genuinely competitive with Knorr pots while being a considerably more honest product. The honest criticism is that even here, corn flour is thickening rather than reduction. Proper restaurant-style gravy thickens through simmering and collagen, not starch. And yeast extract is still in there doing background savoury work. But relative to the rest of this list, Tesco Finest is playing an entirely different game. The ingredients are food. Not all of them are meat, but they're all food. 8. Waitrose 1. Rich beef gravy, chilled. Waitrose 1 is the retailer's top tier. Above standard Waitrose, above essential Waitrose. The number 1 signifies the best they offer, and the price reflects that positioning. Waitrose 1 chilled beef gravy costs around £3 for 350 millilitres. Ingredients: beef stock, water, Madeira wine, beef dripping, vegetable glycerin, modified cornstarch, yeast extract, glucose syrup, salt, onion extract, black pepper, thyme extract. Beef stock leads: Madeira wine rather than port, beef dripping rather than refined fat. These are all positive signs, and this is broadly a similar quality tier to Tesco Finest. However, some ingredients here give pause. Vegetable glycerin is a sweetener and texture modifier that has no business being in gravy. Glucose syrup alongside it means this product contains 2 separate sweetening agents beyond any natural sugars from the wine and stock. Modified cornstarch is still doing the thickening rather than a proper reduction. And here's the thing that matters. Waitrose 1 costs 20% more than Tesco Finest, and in a direct ingredient comparison, it's not a better formulation. It contains more sweeteners, not fewer. The Madeira is a nicer wine than port as an ingredient, but that single upgrade doesn't justify the price gap. Waitrose 1 is a product that costs more because of where it's sold and what number appears on its label. The contents of the pot are not £3 worth of better than the contents of Tesco's £2.50 pot. So here's where we are. 6 of the 8 products investigated, Bisto Original, Bisto Best, Oxo Granules, Waitrose own brand granules, Aldi granules, and Knorr gravy pots, are all structurally the same product. Starch, salt, yeast extract, caramel colouring, beef fat or beef extract in small quantities, undisclosed flavourings. They vary in price from 79 pence to £2 per product. They do not vary meaningfully in what they are. They are flavoured starch with colouring. They are approximations of gravy. They are not gravy. Tesco Finest and Waitrose 1 are different. They're made from real stock, real dripping, actual wine. They're food. Between the two, Tesco Finest is the more honest formulation at a lower price. That's the recommendation if you're buying ready-made. But here's what I actually want to say. Real gravy costs almost nothing to make. The fat and juices left in the bottom of a roasting tin after cooking a joint of beef or a chicken, that's your base. You deglaze the tin with a splash of red wine or just water, scraping up the caramelized bits. You add a spoonful of plain flour, stir it through, add stock, which you can make from the carcass or buy as a decent liquid stock for around £1.50. Simmer for 5 minutes. Season, done. The cost is pennies. The time is 8 minutes. The result tastes like something that came from actual meat because it did. The reason most people don't make it this way isn't ability. It's because Bisto has spent over a century telling you that you need them, that granules are easier, more consistent, better. They're not. They're more profitable for Bisto. The one brand in this investigation that I'd call real gravy is Tesco Finest, narrowly. But the only gravy worth making is the one from your roasting tin. It's been there all along. You've just been paying to ignore it. Next time you're standing in the gravy aisle staring at a shelf of brown tins and jars, remember what's in them. Starch, salt, colour, flavourings. The word flavourings on an ingredient list means the manufacturer has decided you don't need to know what's creating the taste of the food you're eating. That should bother you. Read the labels, check the unit prices. Buy the cheapest granules if you need the convenience, because they're all the same product. But if you've got 15 minutes and a roasting tin, you don't need any of them. Not Bisto, not Oxo, not the £3 Waitrose pot with the Madeira wine and the glucose syrup hiding underneath it. Your nan didn't need Premier Foods. Neither do you. and here's exactly how she did it. I want to be specific here because vague cooking advice is useless. This isn't add some stock and stir. This is the actual method, the one that produces gravy that makes people go quiet at the table. The foundation, drippings. After roasting any joint of beef, lamb, pork, or a whole chicken, you have a roasting tin with rendered fat, caramelized meat juices, and browned bits stuck to the base. This is the most flavorful thing in your kitchen right now, and most people pour it away or leave it to congeal. Don't. Pour off the excess fat, but leave about 2 tablespoons worth in the tin. The browned sticky bits on the base, the French call it fond, a pure concentrated flavor. Everything good about proper gravy starts here. If you haven't roasted anything, a good substitute base is 2 tablespoons of beef dripping or lard, available at any supermarket for around 80 pence. Heated in a heavy saucepan until it begins to smoke lightly, building the flavor. Place your roasting tin directly across 2 hob burners on a medium heat. Add 1 medium onion, roughly chopped, and let it soften in the residual fat for 3 to 4 minutes. You're not caramelizing it fully, just softening and picking up color. Add 1 crushed garlic clove if you have it, 1 sprig of fresh thyme if you have it. Neither is mandatory, both help. Now add a splash of red wine, roughly 100 milliliters, which is about 1/3 of a standard glass. Nothing expensive. A 5-pound bottle is fine. If you don't use wine, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce and a splash of water achieves something similar. Let the wine bubble and reduce by half, about 2 minutes. As it reduces, use a wooden spoon to scrape every brown bit off the base of the tin. This is the most important step. Those bits are flavor. Get them all. The thickening. Scatter 1 heaped tablespoon of plain flour over the tin and stir it through the fat and juices until no dry flour is visible, about 30 seconds. This is your roux. It will look unpromising. That's fine. Now add 500 milliliters of hot beef or chicken stock. You can use a good quality liquid stock from a carton. Waitrose, M&S, or even supermarket own brand fresh stock from the chilled aisle costs around £1.20 and is miles better than a stock cube. If you only have stock cubes, use them. 2 cubes dissolved in 500 milliliters of boiling water. It works. It's just the difference between a good gravy and a very good gravy. Add the stock gradually, stirring constantly to avoid lumps. Once all the stock is in, raise the heat slightly and bring to a gentle simmer. The finish. Let it simmer uncovered for 8 to 10 minutes, stirring occasionally. It will reduce slightly and thicken to a glossy, coating consistency. If it's too thick, add a splash more stock or water. If it's too thin, give it another 2 or 3 minutes. Taste it. Season with salt and black pepper. If it tastes flat, a few drops of Worcestershire sauce will sharpen it. If it tastes thin and watery despite the right consistency, a teaspoon of yeast extract, yes, Marmite, will deepen the savoury quality without tasting of Marmite. This is what Bisto uses. Now you know why. Strain it through a sieve into a warm jug, pressing the onions and herbs through to extract every bit of flavour. The cost: 1 onion, approximately 12 pence. Garlic clove, 5 pence. Wine, roughly 40 pence for the quantity used. Plain flour, 2 pence. Stock, £1.20 for a carton, of which you've used about 60 pence worth. Total, approximately £1.19 for a jug that serves 4 to 6 people generously. That's around 20 to 30 pence per serving for gravy, made from real ingredients that actually came from animals and vegetables, rather than a laboratory. Compare that to Bisto at roughly 18 pence per serving for flavoured starch, or Knorr pots at £1 per serving for a product that approximates what you just made for 1/5 of the price. A note on stock. The single biggest upgrade you can make to homemade gravy costs nothing. When you next roast a chicken, don't throw the carcass away. Put it in a large saucepan with a roughly chopped onion, a carrot, a stick of celery, a bay leaf, and cold water to cover. Bring to a simmer and leave it for 2 hours on the lowest heat your hob will manage. Strain it. What you have is chicken stock of a quality no commercial product matches, made entirely from something you were about to bin. Freeze it in 500 milliliter portions. It costs nothing beyond the time to cover the pan and wait. Every time you make gravy from that stock, you're using something that Bisto, Oxo, Knorr, and Waitrose combined cannot replicate in a granule or a pot, because it came from your kitchen and your roast. Not a factory in Worcestershire. My honest summary: homemade gravy from scratch takes around 15 minutes of elapsed time, of which you're actively doing something for perhaps 6. It costs under £1.20 for a jug that serves a family. It tastes demonstrably better than anything in this investigation, with the possible exception of the best chilled products. which it still matches or beats. The only thing standing between most people and proper gravy is the belief that they can't make it. That belief was manufactured and sold to you by the same companies profiting from your granule habit. It isn't true. It never was.